Hello friends and welcome to the Sports Guide. Before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe and share the video. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Sports Guide. We are sorry we haven't been active recently, but we've had some technical difficulties and we just figured it was best to wait until free agency kind of calmed down. So today we'll be doing another mock draft. We'll be doing 2.1 today and only the first round as well.
The Bengals made some good moves in free agency, signing DJ Reader, which I'm really happy about. Having another stud on the D-line is certainly going to change up not only some picks later in the draft, but it's going to shake up our starting defensive line. There have been a lot of issues with our linebackers. If you have a good D-line, you can kind of hide potentially some bad linebackers. So this DJ Reader signing is really, really nice. Also, Trey Waynes was signed. He can be a really good corner too. He can pair really well with Will Jackson III, and that kind of eases up the pressure a little bit, even though we did lose Darqueze Dennard. But all this said, it doesn't change who the first pick is. Joe Burrow's the guy. Next pick.
You also had a question from someone on YouTube. The question is, and I quote, "This question is for the Bengals fan. Could you see the Bengals trading out of the number one pick to someone like the Dolphins for their first round 5th pick and their 25th pick?"
I think it's interesting, but I just don't see it happen. Especially with the rise of Tua and a lot of mocks that I've seen. The Bengals just need quarterback now. Andy Dalton and the Bengals have pretty much parted ways, even though he hasn't gone anywhere as of this recording. So I do think that the Bengals are in it all the way for Burrow at 1. Even though the added value would be nice, I think having the first pick of the second round essentially gives you another first-round talent in this draft. So I don't see the Bengals at all trading back, no.
Alright, at number 2, I think, like pick 1, it's going to be very vanilla. Chase Young is the best player in this draft, and you can never have enough pass rushers that help solidify that defense. And Riverboat Ron is known for having a really good defense, and having a phenomenal pass rusher is for sure going to help that defense. So you had another question, and I quote, "If the Lions take Tua, do they keep Staff?" I assume it means Stafford.
I don't think so. I think, Tua's hip has been testing pretty well. He's going to do really good at his pro day. The guy produced at Alabama. He's accurate. He can throw the deep ball. He can read the defense. And Stafford's injury is really shaking up the Lions, and I don't think they keep him. The thing is, Stafford is still a serviceable quarterback, but I think the Lions are kind of ready to move on. And I don't see a reason that the Lions would keep both of them on the roster, especially since Tua has been testing really well health-wise. So, no, I don't think that they keep Stafford. I think they get rid of him if they pick Tua. And now that we're talking about picking Tua, I'm going to pick Tua.
He's a nice man.
I think they don't want Stafford anymore, and Tua's a proven quarterback. He's going to be healthy if he's not already healthy right now, which I think he is. The guy's a top talent, He certainly should be a top 15 pick. He certainly should be a top 10 pick. And I think picking him at 3 is not a reach at all for the Lions. I think that his talent gets him into the spot for sure. And I think that he can be an above-average quarterback in the league. I also could see them maybe taking somebody in the second round like Damon Arnett from Ohio State.
Yeah.
I could also totally see that. Just because they're not hitting on Okudah on this pick doesn't mean that they're not going to get a quarterback talent in the second round.
Yeah. Alright, with the 4th pick, it's the New York Giants. I think they actually do trade out of this pick. Jason Garrett is the offensive coordinator, and with Dallas, he wanted to protect Tony at all costs. They built from the offensive line out. I think the Giants do the same thing here with Daniel Jones. So I think they go Nike Becton from Louisville. I personally would put Becton at left and then just put Soldier at right, because Soldier is awful. He's an awful tackle, and having him as Jones's blind spot protection was just a terrible idea. I think Becton is bigger, he's more athletic, he's very strong. He needs to learn for sure. He's good at pass blocking, but he needs to work on developing his run block skills. So he is a work in progress, but this is the right and this is the safest pick if you're the Giants, in my opinion.
Yeah, I certainly think that they do go offensive line. I personally think that Jedrick Wills is the best tackle in this draft. So the Dolphins got like half the free agency pool.
I really like what they did in free agency. They got a lockdown corner to pair with Xavier Howard. They're DBs now. I mean, they're making the right steps. I don't know what they do because they have so many picks and they sign so many players. I don't know what they do.
But there's just one very glaring hole, and that's quarterback. I do have a bit of a concern, though, with Herbert. He hasn't been testing great, and there are some concerns with a potential shaky O-line, how he will do. Like I said before, I think Jedrick Wills is the best tackle in the draft, and I'm going to go ahead and let the Dolphins snag him up.
I love this pick. I think the Dolphins have been all in on Tua. They put all their eggs in his basket, and he wasn't there to be picked up. I don't think they are a dumb organization. If they aren't sold on Herbert, you don't draft him. The biggest need is their offensive line. Whoever the quarterback is going to next season, whether it be Rosen, Fitzpatrick, or some other quarterback from this draft or a trade, you need to keep them upright. And he signed Eric Flowers, who has been playing better at guard. I'm not saying he's a good guard. I'm just saying he's been playing better at guard. I think if you take Willis, you have Flowers. Maybe you trust, I think they could hit Michael Dieter from Wisconsin they drafted last year. Maybe take another offensive lineman later. Grow that offensive lineman to protect whoever the quarterback is. I like the pick. Okay, the next pick is the Chargers. So I was on the Jeffrey Okudah to the Chargers boat. I like that. But they just signed Chris Harris, and now they have Hayward, King, and Harris. They don't need another defensive back. The Chargers have a need for linebacker, and they've had one for a very, very long time. And I think at 6, you have Isaiah Simmons, who's a freak of an athlete. I think he will pair well with that Chargers defense, and maybe they should have taken offensive tackle here. They've needed help with their linebacking core for such a long time. I think Simmons is the pick.
So the Panthers are at 7, and I'm still thinking that their biggest glaring need is that defensive line. However, having a lockdown corner like Jeffrey Okudah sets defenses apart. You know, a really good defense and a mediocre defense. So one of the big differences is having a lockdown corner, and I think Okudah can be that. So I'm going to pick Okudah at 7.
I like that pick. You have guys such as Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Michael Thomas running around all in the NFC South. You have Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, all throwing the ball. You need people who can cover, and Jeffrey Okudah is the best cover corner in this draft. All right, pick 8 is the Arizona Cardinals, and it's crazy they still have this pick after stealing DeAndre Hopkins away from the Texans. How can you trade away the best wide receiver in the National Football League right now? This dude...
For hand sanitizer.
Exactly. This dude literally doesn't do any... He didn't have off-the-field issues. He isn't complaining about stuff. Maybe he did have a contract dispute. Doesn't matter. Pay the guy. He deserves it. He's played through Brandon Weed and Brock Osweiler, Ryan Fitzpatrick when he was with the Texans, awful quarterbacks, and he always put up numbers. You drafted him to be Andre Johnson's replacement, which were big shoes to fill, and Hopkins, honestly, was better than Johnson.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien needs to be fired.
He does. He's been making terrible moves. So, the Cardinals do not need a wide receiver, and I think this pick is very obvious. Their number one goal right now is to keep Kyler Murray upright. And a guy I'm looking at that I think will help Kyler Murray, this guy I'm picking is an athletic freak, Tristan Wirfs. He had a great combine. I think out of all the offensive linemen in this combine, he had the best one. I think just he fits their scheme. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. Wirfs had a freak combine. Set a bunch of records. On tape, he's not as refined. He certainly has the upside to be an excellent
100%
tackle. Jacksonville at 9. And as you all know, the Jags just traded away Calais Campbell, who's still a very good, way above serviceable defensive tackle in the league, in my opinion. But that's a pretty decent hole in the defensive line. And while the Jags do need some secondary help, I'm still going to go with Derek Brown to fill Calais Campbell's spot.
I can't say disagree.
Yeah, I would say that Brown is really hard to comp.
Yeah.
He's not like a lot of people. He's very unique.
Number 10 to the Browns. So the Browns have been very active this free agency, and they're trying to give Baker as much help as they can. They're also trying to protect Baker, and they just signed Jack Conklin, who's going to be their right tackle, but they need a left tackle. And in my opinion, when I think of a left tackle, I think of one player. and like a face of the franchise left tackle. You're Andrew Thomas, 6'5", 320 out of Georgia. He fits your stereotypical left tackle, big, athletic, played in a good college division. He produced. It just, I don't know, like 10 years down the line, I still see Andrew Thomas being very productive. What you have on paper for that offense is, I kind of want to say historic, because you have Baker Mayfield, say what you want about him, but he can sling the ball. Nick Chubb, very good running back. Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, and the tight end they just signed, Austin Hooper. If you're a quarterback, and I told you have all those pieces, not to mention Kareem Hunt as your backup running back, if you have all those pieces, I mean, doesn't matter what team it is, you're signing up to play there, because you have players who can make plays all over the field.
For sure. I can see Baker Mayfield making a lot of growth this year. I think getting Conklin and getting Thomas kind of shores up the edges, lets Baker sit in the pocket, make a throw to Odell Beckham or Landry, or I totally think offensive tackle is the right pick here. If I'm going to be honest, how much of a Jets pick would it be to take K'Lavon Chaisson right now?
100% Jets pick. 100% Jets pick. I almost
Javon Kinlaw.
I was going to say Javon Kinlaw, because the Jets, I feel like every other draft go for a defensive lineman. Your biggest needs, in my opinion, are offensive tackle, pass rush, and because this draft is so heavy in wide receiver, then wide receiver.
The thing is, like, my rationale with the Jets is that Sam Darnold's your guy. Yeah. And as of right now, there's no offensive tackle that I would take at 11. So if I'm going to help Sam Darnold progress, what's the step that I can take? Get him the ball back, or I could pick CeeDee Lamb, pick Henry Ruggs. There's a lot of options with the Jets.
You can pick Jerry Jeudy.
I'm going to go K'Lavon Chaisson. I think pass rush is incredibly important in the NFL, as obvious as that statement is. It is ever more present with the Jets. And they still have some talent on the offense. Even if the O-line is not the greatest right now, you could potentially pick up some offensive line in the second and third rounds. But the receiver depth in this draft is pretty solid. And the odds of them landing somebody like Chase Claypool or Pittman is very, very high. So I think that you need to go top edge guy right now and then get a second or third round receiver in O-line.
I agree. It just makes sense. And having a good pass rush will really help. The only thing that concerns me with Chaisson is he really hasn't put it together yet. We've seen flashes. He has the signs that it's going to come and hit, like have a great pass rusher. He's just been too injured. And I get it. He tore his ACL 2 years ago, and this year was his recovery year, and it takes about 2 years to fully recover. I get that. You're just going to get a lot of Jets fans ticked off that you're taking a guy who really wasn't productive in college. I'm not a Jets fan, but like, if I did my homework on this guy and I saw what he brings to the table and what he could bring in the future and what he went through, I would be very content with this pick, because they didn't reach for anybody, they didn't trade up, they didn't lose any draft picks. This is a good pick because it fills a big need. That's the thing. Jets haven't had a pass rush in quite some time. All right, at 12 to the Raiders. There's two players that stand out to me right now. I think you can go with CeeDee Lamb, or I think you can go with Kinlaw. And I think because the Raiders, they have Maurice Hurst, they just signed Malik Collins, I think they would go with CeeDee Lamb right here. I think they have their own defensive tackles. I think if the Raiders take CeeDee Lamb, I think it just makes so much sense, because you need that X receiver.
Yeah, I think they avoid Kinlaw as well. With this pick, I think CeeDee Lamb is the right pick. He's, like I said before, he's the guy, if you're starting with nothing, CeeDee Lamb's the guy you want. Ruggs and Jeudy they can hold their own as wide receiver ones, but I see them best as complement receivers. CeeDee
100%.
Lamb is the guy that I see as the one.
Yep.
The Niners traded up for pick 13. And if I'm going to be honest, I don't think the Niners keep pick 13. I see them getting this first round pick and then trading it back, because the Niners don't have another pick, I believe, until the fourth round. So one of their two first round picks are not going to be here. And personally, I think obviously they're going to get more value for pick 13 than they would pick 31. So I don't think they're going to keep this pick. But since we're not doing trades, the Niners are going to pick at 13. So if I'm the Niners, Richard Sherman's getting a little bit older. I am in need of some receiver help, because Jimmy Garoppolo does need some assistance. So Deebo Samuel's nice, but he also needs some help as well. So I have a choice between Ruggs, Judy, Henderson, and Fulton. I just don't know if I'm willing to take Fulton at 13. And I think a really nice compliment to Deebo Samuel would be Jerry Jeudy.
Wow.
But I also think Ruggs would be a really nice compliment. So I think right now it's a toss-up between Jeudy and Ruggs. And I'm going to go with the guy who just ran a 4.28. I'm going to go Henry Ruggs.
I love that pick. You have that guy who plays, because they're both very versatile. They can play both inside and outside. But I think having that speed burner will really help Jimmy G. You have your speedster with Ruggs. You have your contested catch guy with Kittle. Then you have your do-it-all with Samuel. And Henry Ruggs makes a lot more sense because I feel like Jeudy and Samuel kind of are similar. Not to the extent, but Ruggs stands out in one particular thing, and that's running by you. And he has really good hands as well. I like it. Pick 14 to the Bucks. They need an offensive tackle. The Bucks had a great offense last year, no doubt. Defense was the big problem. And Shaq Barrett is going to be double teamed like we've never seen before. I think a guy to help the Bucks a little bit will be Javon Kinlaw. I think getting to the pass rusher is going to be very vital to get Tom Brady the ball back. Now you have your defensive tackle, you have your outside linebacker, and you have Devin White. You are slowly building up that defense. Your cornerbacks are a work in progress. I actually think the cornerback, you can probably get a cornerback later on who will do well. I think you need to work from the trenches up.
Yeah, I totally agree. Kinlaw's a stud. The guy's a freak. And while he does have some issues health-wise, I think he's a great pick of 14. All right. The Broncos are next at 15, and they need some receiver help. I believe last mock we had Ruggs going here, but I'm going to pick his Alabama buddy. I'm going to pick Jerry Jeudy. He's the best receiver that's here for a decent amount of time, until maybe the early second round, late first. And if I'm the Broncos, I want the best route runner right now. And Jerry Jeudy is the best route runner. And he's my guy that's going to give Drew Lock a good chance to really, really grow.
At pick 16, the Falcons just got rid of Desmond Trufant. They have the kid Sheffield of Ohio State. I think you need a corner. And everyone has him taking Fulton. But the Falcons, they have shown to like Florida DBs. And with that being said, I think it's obvious. I'm going CJ Henderson to the Falcons. I think he just makes a lot of sense. He's rising up on the boards for a reason. He had a great combine. His college tape shows that he is a lockdown corner. He does struggle with tackling, but when you have good safeties like the Falcons do, the non-tackling isn't as much of an issue, especially having Deion Jones as your linebacker as well.
The Cowboys pick. Just lost Byron Jones. There's some serious need with secondary help. There's a lot of talent with Christian Fulton, but I think he can top out at corner 2. But if I'm going to be serious about the player that I'm going to pick here, I think Dallas wants a player who can free safety it up. And I think Grant Delpit's that guy.
Ooh, I was not expecting that. I thought you were going to go with McKinney.
I almost did.
With the 18th pick, after the Dolphins chose Jedrick Wills.
There's a talent on the board still.
There is a talent on the board for sure. And I think for shoring up that offensive line is a great idea to go with. He did it at right tackle with Wills, and you're going to call me crazy. I'm going to do it at left tackle. I'm going with Josh Jones. I think the Dolphins really want to shore up the offensive line. They're looking at a quarterback who's going to be there at pick 26.
So my pick obviously here would be Herbert. You pass on this guy. He's a first-round talent for sure. Top 15 talent for sure. He's fallen this far just because he's had some rough testing. But listen, you got your offensive line pick. Free agency is not over.
To explain myself, in my world, I'm not sold on Herbert. And if I'm not sold, and I have 3 first-rounders, I don't want to do what the Browns did, 3 first-round picks, and they only hit on one of them, that being Myles Garrett. They want to hit on the players, as many players as possible. And I think the safest picks that were on the board that they needed, I could have said McKinney. That would have made sense. But I think the Dolphins, again, want to get that quarterback and groom him. And getting the most important thing for a quarterback is getting an offensive line to protect him so that he can throw the ball to somebody. And lucky enough for them, they do have Devontae Parker, they have Preston Williams, they have Mike Gesicki. So they do have players to throw to. You took Wills. I'm starting Wills at right tackle. I'm starting Jones at left tackle. You now have your cornerstones to build wherever you want to go.
The Raiders are the next pick. I really do think they just need corner help though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Christian Fulton. The reason I'm not going Herbert is because they just got Mariota.
Fulton to the Raiders makes sense. I think the Jaguars want to solidify their defense again. I think their offense is pretty much set in stone. And the best player on the board right now that would fit their need would be Xavier McKinney out of Alabama. They do need turnovers. I think they might believe in some of their corners, but he's the best player available looking at any DB.
All right, so the Eagles are next. They have some pretty solid issues here. They just lost Malcolm Jenkins. So if I'm the Eagles, you definitely need some help in the secondary or on the linebacker side. I just think I can't shy away from that right now. I'm going to pick Jeff Gladney. He's the next best corner that's available. I think they kind of reach here a little bit, but I could see it potentially paying off. I think Gladney's a good corner, so I'm going to pick that.
I can't say I disagree. Now to the Vikings. You just trade away Stephon Diggs. You just cut Linval Joseph to create cap. I think they have Anthony Harris, who's a very, very, very underrated free safety. I think, honestly, he is the most underrated defensive player in football right now. I think they tagged him, and people think they're going to tag and trade. I think they're going to tag and keep, and they're going to pay the man. So I don't think they need help at free safety. Of course, you have Harrison Smith right next to him. You released Xavier Rhodes. So you could look at corner. But looking at it, there are none. You could look at wide receiver. But right now, are there any? Mike Zimmer is a coach who has been known to make weird picks. And I don't think we can disagree on that. So I'm honestly looking at Neville Gallimore. I could see them going with him. Or I could see them going with I think you go with Laviska right now. They pick Laviska right now to groom him into be that X when the time comes.
I have Justin Herbert on the board, and the Patriots just traded away their quarterback. While there is a part of me that thinks the Patriots really only kind of mess with late-round quarterbacks, I'm going to pick Justin Herbert. It's pretty cut and dry. I can't believe he's actually here.
I figured once I didn't take him with the 18th pick, I'm like, Patriots are going to take him.
That's an easy move for Belichick right there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Snatch him up.
I'm not trying to be very bland with this pick, but the Saints, they need help at linebacker. They need help at wide receiver. And it's a matter of what do you see as a bigger need. And I think I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. Just because he's him over Denzel Mims because he's more proven. If Jefferson isn't there, then it's Murray, then maybe Queen, and then Mims. He makes a lot of sense there.
And they were successful with Michael Thomas as their only receiver. But the only place the Saints offense has to grow is receiver depth and giving Breeze more options to throw to. And getting a really solid wide receiver too like Justin Jefferson I think is really important. The Vikings. Like before, there's no corner on the board. There's not really any big O-line on the board right now. But I do think that they kind of reach for some O-line here. Or while he is a center, rather. I'm going to go Cesar Ruiz. As much as it kills me to do that, because I really, really wanted him. I think Cesar Ruiz is a good pick for the interior, and you just paid Kirk some more money. You gotta protect him.
I personally would have went with Cleveland out of Boise State. He didn't go to a big college, and his name's not that popular yet. But he's not a bad tackle. It's just he's a known, and that's really what it is. Ruiz isn't a bad pick. I'm not saying he is. Riley Reif is not a good left tackle. Brian O'Neill is a good right tackle, but I think keeping Kirk upright is what the number one priority is. 26 to the Dolphins. Everything has fallen to what I wanted it to, essentially. And Tua, I've mentioned, I've been tanking for Tua for the past 2 years, and the Lions took him away from me. My number 2 quarterback was not Justin Herbert, but it's this guy instead. Jacob Eason. I'm kidding.
Yeah. I was like,
I'm kidding.
How many mocks have we done? You have to be joking.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Jordan Love, 100%. I mean, this guy's pro comparison is Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying he's going to be Patrick Mahomes, but the arm is there. He had nobody his last year at Utah State. He did produce when he had some players. You give Jordan Love protection. You give him a running back later on. You can use Jordan Howard. You have Mike Gesicki. You have Devontae Parker. You have Preston Williams. You have players. You have Albert Wilson. You have Jakeem Grant. Like, those are pieces to work with that are better than what you had at college. And this defense is going to be middle-of-the-road defense, which is a lot better than what they were last year. I think you have a lot of rookies that are going to develop. I think you have Byron Jones, who is a very good corner, who's a lockdown corner who doesn't always get the interceptions, but he locks down half the field. You have Xavier Howard, who does get the interceptions. You could have went safety if there was one here. There wasn't one here. At the end of the day, if the Dolphins got Love, Jones, and Wills all in the first round, as a Dolphins fan, I would love that, because you're literally getting your offense for the future right here in the first round in one draft, which is incredible to say.
Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree. I think Love is really raw, but he's got a lot of talent. I think he's got a low floor, but a high ceiling. I think it's at pick 26. I think this is fine for him. All right, the next pick is the Seahawks. I really think, though, they just want to get to the pass rusher here. It just seems like they need O-line help every year.
Big facts.
I think they can potentially hit that later in the draft. I think they go edge rusher, and I think they go Yetur Gross-Matos. He's got long-ass arms. He can get around the edge really, really nicely.
Gross-Matos, because he's so long and lanky, and he's very quick to the ball, he's a very explosive first step. It kind of reminds me of Jadeveon Clowney. Obviously, the Seahawks liked Clowney, and I don't think they're going to re-sign him. So if you have Gross-Matos, I think you'll take that as a Seahawks fan. I like this pick a lot. All right, 28 to the Ravens. Oh, man, they've had a crazy offseason as well. I think they're in need of a linebacker right now, middle linebacker. And the best middle linebacker on the board right now is Kenneth Murray. I think you go with Kenneth Murray out of this. You know, I don't know what they're going to do with Judon, if they pay him or not. And I think they plan on extending Judon. I think you take Murray, solidify that defense again.
All right, the Titans are next at 29. There's a couple different routes I can go. I'm really interested in Zach Bond here. I do think they need edge rusher. Even though the Titans did just sign Vic Beasley, I still think you can still give them some help on the edge. I don't know if that warrants a late first-round pick for them, but the route I think I'm actually going to go is I'm going to pick Neville Gallimore. I think clogging up that interior is really important for stopping the run, obviously. And I think Neville Gallimore, a guy who ran a ridiculous 40, I think is a good fit.
I like it. It makes a lot of sense to me. Pick 30 with the Packers. I'm thinking of two guys right now, Patrick Queen and Denzel Mims. They did lose Blake Martinez. They lost Jake Ryan the year before. So a need at middle linebacker is a very, very, very strong need. But you also need a guy to help Aaron Rodgers. And similar to Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers' time is winding down. So I think you go with Mims here. He's just too much of a freak of an athlete to skip on.
Yeah, Mims is another one of those freak guys. His production, it's tough being a Baylor. He's not really a stud quarterback to help you out, but guy measured up strong at the combine, balled out at the Senior Bowl. Guy's going to be really, really good. The next Niners pick, they do need some corner help still, but they did just lose a member of their defensive line in DeForest Buckner. I don't think right now that the Niners are in severe need of defensive line, and they're going to be fine. If I'm the Niners, though, I am thinking about potentially O-line right here. It can never hurt just to get some more young talent on the O-line, and I'm going to go with Ezra Cleveland. Ezra Cleveland probably could bump inside if you need him to, but I think getting youth on this offensive line right now is not a bad thing.
No, I'm with you 100%. To the Chiefs. So me and you have been giving them Swift or Jonathan Taylor this whole entire time. I like those picks. It makes a lot of sense. But I know they're very high, and I think Darwin Thompson is their running back's name, and Damian Williams. And they just re-signed Williams. So I don't think you're going to draft a running back when you have a guy you drafted last year and a guy you just signed. I don't think you go with him in the first round. So I think the Chiefs could trade out of this pick. A pick I could see the Chiefs making is Zach Bond out of Wisconsin. I think Zach Bond strictly is a 3-4 outside linebacker, similar to Terrell Suggs. I think you do have Frank Clark, you have Chris Jones, you have the other nose tackle. I think you have a great line, but you need pass rushing linebackers, guys on the outside. I think Zach Bond is just best at doing that.
All right, and that pick concludes our mock draft version 2.1. Thank you very much for stopping by and listening to the Sports Guide's newest mock draft after the free agency frenzy that just happened.
Hey sports fans, and thanks for watching the Sports Guide. If you haven't already, subscribe and join the team for news, highlights, predictions, debates, and mailbag. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. All the links are down below in the description. And don't forget to hit the like button and leave us a question or two. Thanks guys, our next video is dropping soon.